everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Psych-Zone, and welcome to Coach Coker's Classroom. Glad that you could join me today. I've noticed that quite a few of y'all are enjoying these psychology topic-related videos, so I'm going to try to continue to space them out and put them in here for you guys. Let me start by saying I hope you've had a great start to your April. It's about the middle of the month of April right now. Easter weekend was just behind us, so if you celebrated, I hope you had a wonderful Easter and got to spend that time with your family and your friends. Today, what I decided that I wanted to talk about within the psychological realm is actually because of the fact that we are in the month of April. And April just so happens to be a lot of different types of awareness months. I believe it's Arab American Heritage Month. It's also Alcohol Awareness Month and Autism Awareness Month. So with all of that, it is also the awareness month for stress. And if you're like me, you may be thinking, do we really need to have a stress awareness month? I think all of us are very aware and realizing the impact that stress can have on our lives. But today, that's what I wanted to take a few minutes to sit down and talk with you guys about, especially to students. And it doesn't matter what age of student you are. I could be talking, right now to an elementary school student, or I could be talking to a grad student, or, I could be talking to somebody that's in their 40s or 50s that's gone back to school for another degree or an advanced degree. This applies to any and all students because I'm a firm believer that we are lifelong students. And it's April, which means that we are inching closer and closer to the end of the semester here in the spring. A lot of people may be getting ready to graduate or move up in grades or get their degrees. And the closer we get, sometimes the harder it can be and the more stress that we put on ourselves as we prepare for whatever's next. Fifth graders, if I've got any fifth graders watching this, Chad's a fifth grader, that preparing for that transition into middle school. You're already thinking ahead to that and what's that going to look like. Eighth graders, you're doing the same for high school. High school seniors, I know that this is the biggest transition because you're preparing yourself for leaving somewhere that you have spent and had some of the greatest 4-year memories of your life. You're leaving that and you're going to a new institution. You're going to college or you're going right into the workforce, okay? And joining the real world, as they say. There's no protection or steadiness of school, and that can be super stressful. You could be an athlete that's played something your whole life, and you played all 4 years in high school, and maybe you're not having the chance to continue that at the next level. So not only are you transitioning to college or you're transitioning to a job, but you're also leaving that part of you that's been a huge part of you for well over a decade in many cases. That's a transition I'm having to come with. I put on here a little over a month ago the reasons why I'm stepping away from coaching, and I've kind of finished my coaching career for the time being. I won't rule out a return at some point, but I'm done coaching for now. I've been Coach Coker. This is my 17th year of teaching. I've been Coach Coker for the majority of that. Okay, a lot of people are just about to, know me as Mr. Coker, which sounds really, really, really weird to me at least, because I've just been coach, forever. Or it seems that way. So I'm in that transition. So I completely understand that. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your identity. Those of you about to graduate college or go into a new career or even get an advanced degree hoping to, promote your career. All of that, especially at this time of year, things can pile up, deadlines are coming up, and stress is huge. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about this topic that affects all of us, regardless of where we come from, regardless of where we live, regardless of what we do or what our future goals in life are. Okay, stress can be overwhelming, it can be debilitating, and in many cases, it can sometimes be unnoticed and, in the worst case, unaddressed. Okay, stress, by definition, it's our body's natural response to the challenges and demands of life. And many people don't realize this, but there is a thing or a separation of good stress and bad stress. And it's the good stress that we don't notice. We don't realize it, okay? Every time that most of us think about stress, we think of distress, the negative stress in our life, the test coming up, okay, the deadlines coming up. All of that's distress, but we all face eustress too. Okay, positive stress that affects us when there's something that we're looking forward to. It's a good thing, but yet it wears and tears on our bodies regardless. Now, there are positive effects of stress, particularly eustress. It can make us more focused, okay? It can, if we're successful, it can make us more confident. But this could be something as simple as looking forward to a vacation and all of the work and prep and planning and packing that goes into a vacation. That's positive stress. You're doing it for a good reason. You're doing it for something that you're looking forward to. But it still affects your body. Okay? In small amounts, regardless of the type of stress, it can be helpful because it can be a motivator. It can cause us to take action to achieve whatever goals that we've set for ourselves. However, if we let stress build up and build up and build up and become chronic and or overwhelming, it can lead to serious physical and or mental health issues. Okay, according to the World Health Organization, the WHO, stress is actually deemed, they've nicknamed it, the health epidemic of the 21st century, because that's the world that we live in today. Okay, and of course, COVID's been the worst of the worst the last couple of years. Stress, the WHO, again, considers stress the biggest thing that we're going to face this industry. And some psychologists, what they found, and I think that this is fascinating, some populational psychologists and some industrial psychologists have noticed that stress is actually a bigger factor in more developed countries around the world than the lesser developed countries. Okay, the technologically advanced countries like Western Europe and ourselves, stress is a byproduct of our advancements, of our expectations. Okay, for folks that live in lesser developed countries of the world, they don't have as many demands put on them because for many of them, when they go into the workforce, they're just going into work with their parents or taking over mom and dad's business or becoming self-sufficient and they only have to worry about themselves. Bigger picture, more advanced countries, we put that additional stress on ourselves. It's our own fault. I think that's fascinating because we tend to think that in our countries, we have it much better off. And in aspects, a lot of aspects, we do. And most people in third world countries would look at us and agree with that. But as a result, we actually put more stress on ourselves because of those expectations that we set. Okay, today's modern world is rife with stressors that can trigger our body's natural stress response, from the pressure to succeed at work or school, to financial difficulties, relationship issues, and even the constant bombardment that we receive of negative news through social media or the regular news programs. Stressors are everywhere. Okay, maybe you've heard of folks that have put their phones down for the day or a couple days and they've left social media alone. Most of them have such a positive impact from that, of just living, of just experiencing the world, because of the fact that a lot of the negativity is left alone. They're not seeing it. They're not in touch with it. We're always on the go. We're always connected. We're always striving for more. And it's often at the expense, whether we realize it or not, of our mental and physical well-being. Okay, I'm going to go back to COVID for a second. Okay, the COVID-19 pandemic has only gotten worse and only continued to get worse because of stress. The pandemic disrupted all of our lives in unprecedented ways, which caused immense stress and anxiety. The fear of the virus, the uncertainty about the future of the world now dealing and living with this virus, and the isolation caused by the lockdowns all over the world have taken a huge toll on most of our mental health. It's affected not only our personal lives and our social relationships, but also how we work, how our businesses run, leading to more stress, more burnouts, and economic hardships. So what can we do about this? How can we tackle, or how should we tackle, the issue of stress in the world today? Because again, it's something that affects all of us. Okay, first and foremost, the most important thing we can do, we have to recognize that stress is a real problem and it needs to be addressed. Okay, when you hear about people with addictions, they always say the first step that you have to take is to recognize you have a problem. It's no different here. We have to, as a community, and by that I mean the world, we've got to recognize that stress is an issue and we have to take measures to see how we can deal with it. We need to acknowledge the impact that stress can have on our mental and physical health, and then take the steps that we need to take to manage it. And you may be thinking, well, coach, what are those steps? What can we do? Okay. Well, one simple thing that all of us can do is we can practice mindfulness techniques, okay, such as meditation, deep breathing. And if you're like me, and I don't have it on right now, okay, but every day, for those of us that have Apple Watches, smart watches, it may tell you, would you like to take a couple minutes to be mindful or to have mindfulness? Would you like to reflect? And if you're like me, you see that and it's like, dismiss each and every day. But that little smart device that's connected to us all the time, that's trying to help us. Take a few minutes for yourself. Pause. Reflect. You don't have to meditate. You can just close your eyes and just be in the moment. Just give yourself some peace. It's so small, but can go a long way to help you. Okay? Engage in physical exercise. I am preaching to the choir here. I have used my herniated discs in my back for an excuse for months to not do any exercise. Okay? Why? One, I'm tired, or I feel like I'm tired all the time. And and this is true, I don't want to exacerbate my injury or make myself hurt worse, because if I'm hurting, I'm not going to sleep, etc. But you've got to exercise. Our bodies need it, okay? That can go a long way to help physical health as well as our mental health. Get enough sleep. You got to. It's a way to help our brains, our bodies. We need the recovery that takes place during REM sleep. while our bodies are resting. Okay? This is something I've been fighting with for years of trying to get a good night's sleep every night. I'm an insomniac. That's something else that I battle. I have a hard time getting to sleep, and then I have a hard time staying asleep. Hopefully it's not going to be a lifelong thing, but I know I'm not the only person that deals with that. Most people, many people may deal with that. That's another way that, again, we can try to relieve stresses ourselves. Make sure we're going to bed at a good hour so that we can get a good night's sleep for the next day. And to the best you can, maintain a healthy diet. Okay, I'm not saying go on a diet. I'm not saying start keto, become a vegetarian, become a vegan, cut out gluten. That's not what I'm saying at all. Know yourself, know what you can and can't handle. Don't overeat. And if you're adding in that exercise portion as well, you're doing yourself a favor. Again, those are all things that we can do ourselves. It's in our own hands to try to help. Okay, we also, and many of y'all that know me or have watched the channel, this is not going to be news to any of you. We need to create a culture, and I know I could use the pun tied to the channel name. Haha, Coker culture, and he's talking about culture. Seriously. We as a society need to create a culture that values mental health and our own personal well-being. In this community, and I'm talking about streamers, I have seen more and more and more folks needing to take mental health days, time for themselves to deal with it. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad you're doing it. Okay, if you recognize that you need it, do it. 100%. I back you all 100% because it needs to be taken seriously. Okay, employers, employees, educators, policymakers, the big people that have the power to make decisions need to recognize the importance of addressing stress and creating a supportive environment for individuals to thrive in. As an educator, that's something that I try to recognize. I don't know what my kids are dealing with on a day-to-day basis unless they tell me or their parents tell me. And if I can help them, if I can do anything for them, I let them know that I'm there. If it's just to talk, if it's not even to talk, but say a prayer for them on my own time, I let them know, and I hope they all know that that is something that I recognize, and it's not to be taken lightly. Okay. As far as creating that culture and environment, it can include offering mental health resources and support, okay, implementing a flexible work schedule if possible. That might not always be the option, or in our post-COVID world, remote work options, okay, working from home, becoming more and more and more of a commonality, okay, and encouraging a healthy work-life balance. I have a problem with this as a coach. Now, I no longer have to deal with some of those things, but it's hard to come home and separate. You know who you are if I'm talking to you about this. Spend time with your family, with your loved ones, with your friends. Be present. Don't let work consume you, okay? Find that medium so that you don't allow those stressors to overtake you so you can't enjoy the time with the people that you care about most. Finally, we need to prioritize self-care. Okay, we need to prioritize our own personal well-being and mental health. Hi, Ty. This means taking time to disconnect from the demands of life and engaging in activities that promote relaxation and enjoyment. Leisure activities, hobbies, things we do for fun. Okay, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a hobby. We started this YouTube channel. Okay, simply taking a walk out in nature and being around all of that beautiful scenery. It's important to take care of ourselves to better manage the stress that we deal with going forward. In conclusion, stress is a very serious issue that affects all of us. Okay, it's not something that we need to accept as an inevitable part of modern life, but by acknowledging the impact it has on our lives and taking steps to manage it, we can create a healthier, happier world for ourselves and those around us. Thanks for taking the time to tune in to another episode of the Psych-Zone and Coach Coker's Classroom here. Before I forget, because I've gotten pretty bad about forgetting and having to put it back in those previous vacation videos, but want to give our subscriber shout out. This shout out goes to one of my former students that's been subscribing since about the beginning, and that's Miss Ricky Champagne. So Ricky, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being a subscriber and believing in the channel and supporting us in the ways that you do. We truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this content, like I said, I'm going to try to do more psychological content on the channel and be as much of a motivational speaker to those of y'all that need to hear it. I know it's been a long time since we put any gaming content on the channel, aside from some live streams that Chad's done. Those are coming. I promise. I promise. We've got more of our spring break vacation videos coming up, and both this guy and Chad are about to start their spring sports seasons, so you'll get to see a little of that and them in action as well. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like down below, as it goes a long way to help us figure out what it is that you guys enjoy and want to see on the channel. If you have any questions or comments about what I talked to you about today, please hit us up in the comments down below. We really enjoy interacting with you guys. It's our favorite thing to do on the YouTubes. And lastly, if this is your first time tuning in, thank you. Welcome to the community. If you want to subscribe, please hit that button below if you're not already subscribed, because we are trying our best to reach 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I promise these guys, when we get to 500, we'll get some Coker Culture merch. And I know that's something that many people, especially these little guys, really want and have been wanting for a while. So please help us and hit that subscribe button. That's all for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
What's your why? You gotta catch them all. You gotta catch them all.
What's your why?